Welcome into Outkick the Show, Thursday edition. I hope all of you are having fantastic days wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. Absurdity reigns. Just when you thought that things couldn't be any more ridiculous in the world of sports, the NBA players, Major League Baseball players, NHL players, just got as woke as they could possibly get, even though they are all behaving mostly in an idiotic fashion. I am Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show. I appreciate all of you. Encourage you to go listen to our 3-hour discussion this morning. Go download the Outkick podcast final hour with me and Jason Whitlock. Also would encourage you to go subscribe to the Outkick VIP at Outkick.com. You will be glad that you did. And you will be well on your way to hopefully being able to call the Outkick VIP line like a lot of people did today. Hopefully to being able to reach out and comment on all the articles, as well as sign up for the Outkick VIP message board. This is, the things have gone insane, all right? And but I'd encourage you to go sign up for the Outkick VIP if you want to punch back against the absurdity that exists out there. All right, let's start with the NBA. The NBA players evidently had no idea what their plan was when they decided to walk out and not play yesterday. Everybody else follows because that's what we've created in America now, is a herd of followers where if you have a dissenting opinion, you aren't allowed to share it. That's what social media requires. A massive collection, by and large, of groupthink. And so for a day, even though I told you it was crazy, people were like, oh, Major League Baseball, NBA players are going to leave the bubble. They're not going to play. Oh, LeBron and the Lakers and the Clippers, oh, they've decided to bail on the season. I told you last night, this was ridiculous. That the players were going to play, and that all the attention and all the blue checkmark left-wing brigade out there that was cheering them on and talking about how brave they were, this is so dumb, all right? In the first place, they are protesting by not playing games in a league where they get half of all revenues. This is like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Moreover, the NBA has bent over backwards to give the players whatever they want, to give them the right to kneel during the national anthem, even though it violates the contracts that they signed, to give them the right to put social justice warrior slogans on their jerseys, to give Black Lives Matter written on the basketball court. All three of them are actions taken without any precedent whatsoever. And then what happens? They're still not happy. Things are not woke enough. We're not going to play. They stormed out. They quit. They stormed out of the game. They refused to play all day yesterday. They're refusing to play all day today. And then what happened after a few hours, to think about it, they went full George Costanza on Seinfeld, and they now are deciding, oh, you know what? Forget about that part where we said we were going to quit. Yeah, we're going to continue and we're going to play. So they didn't play for a couple of days, or whatever it's going to end up being. They had already abandoned a huge portion of their audience by deciding to go super woke with their political statements. Now they are deciding that they are going to protest about something that they know almost nothing about, the situation in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And again, they had a limited bit of knowledge about that 20-second video that went viral. In that video that went viral, many things were left out. Among them, these are the facts according to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. The police were called to that location by a woman specifically saying that this man, Jacob Blake, was treating her improperly, that he was violating, I believe, a trespass order against him. And so the police show up. They try to take Blake, who has an outstanding warrant. They try to take Blake into custody without having to be violent, but he refuses to listen to any of their commands. They shoot him with a taser. The taser doesn't work. He refuses to listen to them. He walks around his car, and he either had in his possession or he was grabbing in his possession a knife when he was shot. This is what sports are shutting down over? Now, you may disagree with how many gunshots were fired, and maybe the DA and maybe the Department of Justice and maybe everyone else who actually goes out there and does an investigation will determine that there should be charges brought against this police officer. But it's fair to say that the NBA players know very little about this situation at all. They have no idea about the full totality of this story. Moreover, it's incredibly improper for the NBA players to be saying what should happen in any way about this case because they're not involved in the investigation. And if the NBA had any control over it, that would be incredibly improper. But what actually happened here is the NBA players walked out on the NBA demanding, because they were angry. It makes no sense. They were boycotting themselves. They were locking themselves out. They were striking against their own business. It actually makes zero sense, the logic behind their decision. And by the way, all of this data came out. All the further facts started to come out after they shut down the league. And I think they started to realize how bad they were making themselves look. And so the next morning they wake up and they're like, okay, we're going to go full George Costanza from Steinfeld, and we're going to pretend this had never actually happened. Okay? This is utterly ridiculous behavior by the NBA players. And it's also evidence for sports leagues out there that you can't be woke enough. There's always more wokeness that's required. Names on the back of the jersey, slogans on the basketball court, not standing for the national anthem. That is not enough, okay? That wasn't enough for them, and so they made a decision to not play. And this decision was an awful one that I think they realized were making themselves look bad. And so instead, they are now going to come back and play. But first, everybody else who's a part of the woke brigade has to join on for the charge of the woke brigade. And so 6 Major League Baseball teams don't play. Now the NHL has shut down. For what reason? Why? It actually doesn't make any sense at all. Again, look at the facts, the facts, the facts. I don't know what's going to happen here with the DA. I don't know what's going to happen with the DOJ. But this is not a situation where a 20-second video gives you a perfect example of the entirety of an interaction. And the truth of the matter is, almost no one in sports media will even point this out. Because the blue checkmark brigade is either completely enthralled with far left-wing sports, or they're afraid if people are going to say something bad about them, and they're terrified of mean things being said about them on Twitter. It actually makes no sense to me. I don't understand it at all. Say what you believe, own it, roll with it. This is easy, all right? This is utterly ridiculous behavior by the NBA, by the Major League Baseball teams that set, and by the NHL as well, okay? Now, let's continue to roll through some of the illogical actions that were involved here. Ultimately, this comes down to money. And the NBA, I think, realized that they were going to have to give back hundreds of millions of dollars in salary if they didn't finish their season. And I think their agents got to them. And I think all their advisors got to them. And they said, oh, by the way, yeah, we're actually going to finish the season. Okay? But I want to remind you of this. And I tweeted this out. The NBA players in October stood and performed and shut up and dribbled for China when China came out and said the First Amendment doesn't apply anywhere in the world. Okay? China has basically said democracy doesn't apply, American rights don't apply. This is significant, and I don't think a lot of people have recognized it. China has said that Chinese law applies everywhere in the world, right? If you are in Hong Kong, crazily, if you are in the United States and you say something about China that the Chinese dictators don't like while you're studying abroad, when you come back to China, they can arrest you for what you said in school in the United States. Talk about this. There's a lot of people nervous about the fact that Zoom classes are now occurring online, that China might be able to hack those classes and find kids who were 18 and 19 and 20 years old in American colleges saying negative things about China and actually arresting their family or arresting them when they return to China. The NBA didn't say anything when China said that Daryl Morey shouldn't have First Amendment rights to support Hong Kong and that American rights didn't matter. Chinese law governed. They shut up and they dribbled. They didn't say a word. But they watch a 20-second video about a guy who has already been arrested and has a warrant out and was armed and was not listening to police officer instructions, and they're trying to shut down the entire world of sports. I sometimes look around and I'm like, my God, do you know if Outkick didn't exist, there wouldn't be a single part of sports media in the entire country that was willing to make these arguments, that was willing to point out these hypocrisies, that was willing to point out these absurdities. It's absolutely wild. All right, Max Kellerman. Did you guys see about Max Kellerman? This is crazy. Max Kellerman went on ESPN today and said SEC fans are easy to propagandize. They are susceptible to low-quality information. They are dumb, and that is why they support Donald Trump for president. Max Kellerman said that on ESPN. Okay? This is wild. ESPN carries every single SEC athletic event except for the SEC Game of the Week on CBS, and they just brought the rights to every game out there. This is, again, ironic because nobody spreads far left-wing sports propaganda more than ESPN. I mean, they are the leader in spreading totally false disinformation from a far left-wing perspective all the time on their network. And Kellerman, out of nowhere, decided to go after SEC fans and say they're easy to propagandize, they are susceptible to low-quality information, and they are effectively dumb, which is why they support Donald Trump. Now, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this. Why is it okay only to stereotype Donald Trump supporters? If Max Kellerman had said that about any other group, and if they had been Joe Biden voters, there would have been mass uproar, mass outrage. How unbelievable is the standard for what is acceptable commentary at ESPN? Max Kellerman's entitled to his own opinion. I'm a First Amendment absolutist. But we're also entitled to fire back at him and point out that I guarantee you Max Kellerman is the same guy who says, hey, most protesters behave peacefully. It's largely a peaceful protest. But I guarantee you he also says cops are awful, right? You can only stereotype in media, in mainstream media today, if you stereotype against people that you don't like. All cops are evil. Protesters who are rioting and pillaging and looting, oh, they're mostly peaceful. The reality is this. Almost all cops are good people. And most protesters are good people too. And there are many dumb Joe Biden supporters. And there are many dumb Donald Trump supporters. But there are also many smart Joe Biden supporters. And many smart Donald Trump supporters. This large blanket totalitarian statements like Max Kellerman is saying are everything that's wrong with the larger media picture. There are geniuses who love Donald Trump, and there are geniuses that love Joe Biden, and there are ignoramuses that love both as well. It's crazy. It's craziness. But if I were the SEC, I'd be firing back at Max Kellerman and asking why the network that we gave our exclusive rights to is allowing someone on air to denigrate and stereotype our fan base. Finally, the idiots in the Big Ten. The idiots in the Big Ten are being sued by 8 University of Nebraska players over their decision to cancel the Big Ten season. Great job by these Big Ten players to stand up for what's right and point out how insanely dumb it was of the Big Ten to cancel their football season. It's amazing to me how few people in the media are willing to stand up and say, I'm sorry to the Big Ten, and I will fight alongside of you throughout the entirety of this battle. Right now, I'm telling you, if you're a Nebraska fan, if you're an Iowa fan, if you are an Ohio State fan, if you are a Penn State fan, if you are a Michigan fan, any other team in the conference that believes they should be playing as well, I got your back. Because your leadership failed you. Your university presidents failed you. Your commissioner failed you. They used a flawed myocarditis story that has now been rescinded and debunked to justify why they were shutting down college football. They're not answering honest questions. They won't even tell you how the university presidents voted. We don't know if they complied with the legal requirements of their bylaws in shutting down the season. I am here to tell you that the side of truth, justice, and righteousness is on the side of the Big Ten fans, players, coaches, administrators, and everybody out there who believes that the Big Ten should be able to play this fall. And I'm going to continue to fire away at Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who had the audacity to come out and say she was glad that the Big Ten got canceled. She was glad that high school football got canceled. There is absolutely no way to defend her at all in any magnitude whatsoever. And so I believe if you live in those states, unfortunately, your leadership has failed you in the political process as well. Finally, coronavirus cases continue to decline. The overall trend line in this country is rapidly getting better, particularly in the South and the Southwest, where everyone was obsessed about the coronavirus for so long. It's time to get ready for football season. Football, NFL, officially 2 weeks from today. We've got college football that kicks off 2 days from today, believe it or not, with Central Arkansas and Austin Peay set up to play. I love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Listen to that podcast with Jason Whitlock. I think you guys will absolutely love it. Dive in and make sure you don't miss it at all. And go subscribe to the Outkick VIP. I'll be on television here in about 30 minutes breaking down what limited numbers of games we actually have left on the schedule. Kisses from me to all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Go sign up for our YouTube channel. Tons being rolled in there every single day. Corona Bros. Not been a good time for the Corona Bros out there. They are indeed running for the hills. See y'all. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I'll be live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Go listen to the radio show. Watch us on TV. Sign up for everything Outkick. I appreciate all of you. Love you. See y'all.